The Aihua way to teach English is through fun and games. Every teacher here tries to create a positive atmosphere in our classrooms so that our students aren't afraid to make mistakes. We do this through interactive games with flashcards or PowerPoints and other interesting ways to get the students involved.
We are encouraged to be creative in our classes in that we do our own lesson plans and we can use different activities and games to suit our students as well as the lesson, but we also follow different books for different levels and course plans that go with that to tell us exactly what we need to teach in each lesson.
So I was a teacher back home, which was totally different from the way we teach here at Aihua. We used to have kids behind desks all the time, board work. Here it's fun and free and open.
We like to keep the classes small because we can give more personal attention to the students in that case. Also, every classroom is equipped with a laptop, interactive whiteboard, overhead projector and an ordinary whiteboard as well. So you have a lot of amenities available to you.
One game in particular I like to play is called Zombies. I just call it Zombies. And you basically line up one team over on one side of the room and the other team on the other side of the room. And either you or one of the students can be the zombies. You have your flashcards or whatever word you have written on your flashcard, and you run to one side of the room for one team, and they all have to say the dialogue that includes the word before you turn around, and then you run to the other side.
My favorite game that I like to play with the younger students, so for example pockets level, is called Monster Flashcard. So what I do is I draw this really scary monster with a marker on the back of one of the flashcards. I'd show a normal flashcard, say the word, and then they repeat after me, and then when the monster flashcard comes up, they have to run to the corner or hide somewhere because they're so scared.
With my younger students, I like to play a lot of interactive games and get them running around the classroom a lot. One of the games I play is Run and Touch, where I throw the flashcards all over the floor and get them to do different actions to the flashcards, such as run or jump or pretend to swim, and then also saying the vocab words. I find that interactive games help to keep them focused as it's fun and they want to learn if they're playing.
Some games and activities that I like to do with my older level students are usually PowerPoint games, like Connect Four, Tic-Tac-Toe, and these games we usually split them into teams for the older levels, more so than I do with the younger levels, and get their competitive natures out.
I have a reading game I play with my older kids where it's basically just memory with a deck of cards, and when they get a matching pair, they get to keep that pair and then they have to read a certain section of the text. It gets them to actually want to read. It doesn't overwhelm them with how much they have to read in one sitting.
Okay, so one of my main concerns before coming here was the fact that I could not speak a word of Chinese, and I was thinking, how am I going to teach these kids? But here at Aihua, we want them to be in a full English environment, so that won't be a problem at all.
We use a lot of gestures. In our classes we have a lot of posters with pictures, we use PPTs, and we also demonstrate what we want them to do.
You'll be very surprised at how easy it is to teach the kids without using translation. We use flashcards and videos, real life objects, and you'd be amazed at how much you can show just through body language. Even discipline issues, you can teach young kids to be quiet or to listen, and you can do that all through body language. You don't need to use translation for things like that.
With the older kids, if we're teaching certain values, you might incorporate your Chinese teacher and maybe do a skit or a role play, something that's going to demonstrate to the kids rather than just speaking in Chinese.
The CTs are part of the Chinese staff. They're your colleagues and assistants in the classroom, and they can help you demonstrate games and activities or explain things to the students in Chinese if everything else you've tried has failed.
They're there to help us with any issues within the classroom, such as discipline or classroom management. They can review what we have taught, and they can, as a very, very last resort, they can translate anything that was misunderstood during the lesson.
And don't worry about communicating with the parents. That's one of the roles that your CT takes on. Also, one of the things is correcting and assigning homework.
At Iowa we use reward systems to motivate our students. We use things like points, stars, board games or stickers to get our students to interact more in class.
When they get a certain number of stars, they get a sticker at the end of class. When they have enough stickers, they can trade those in for a prize at the center's prize bank.
There's several ways that you can motivate your students. The first one is usually the reward system, right? You can give points to your students for doing just answering questions, doing like tasks like open up your book really fast, singing the song really well, whatever. If that doesn't work, you can structure your lesson plan to include lots of really fun and active games. If you're playing this really fun game and they're sitting there moping and they see all these other kids playing this game and they're having a great time, guess what? They're not going to be in a bad mood anymore because they want to play all them games too.
At Iowa we have a number of support systems to help us throughout the term. Initially we have our training team who teach us how to teach ESL, and then during the term we have our foreign centre supervisors who will help us with our immediate teaching needs.
So anytime you have a problem, they're your go-to person, that they're there for you. And this is not just with work, you know, if you have any kind of questions about just life in general, they've been here a while. So they can give you advice about how things work, not only in the company, but also outside of work as well.
So you have introductory training, but then throughout the term there's a lot of supports for you from your fellow foreign teachers and from the trainers here. We do weekly training throughout the term, which is very helpful because if we covered it all in introductory training, you would forget a lot of the things that you need to remember later down the line.
There are certain requirements as a teacher here at Iowa. The number one thing is to lesson plan. It's something that you have to do yourself. You're not just handed a lesson plan. You figure out what you're going to do for the lesson and then you send that to your Chinese co-teacher 24 hours beforehand so they can also plan what homework they're going to assign to the students. You also need to show up 30 minutes before your class to prepare. Technology might fail, so it's really important that you're there to make sure everything's in working order.
We also have term training throughout the term to re-establish what we learned during introductory training, but also our continual professional development as teachers.
And we have observations that you must do. You must watch other foreign teachers, and that's always very helpful. It's always good to see how other teachers teach and get inspiration and steal their activities for your class. And you then have other foreign teachers and your trainers watching your classes and giving you feedback.
I think the most challenging thing for me was finding ways to teach students a language that suits all of them, as well as getting the required results. But I found that once you get to know the students, you learn what they like to do, what activities they enjoy, as well as what language they already know, and then it's easier to just build off of that.
One of the biggest challenges for me as an ESL teacher is to find the best and most effective ways to teach so that I can help students to really understand what they're learning, and also most importantly to use it themselves.
One thing that I really like about teaching at Iowa is the flexibility of teaching. There's no prescribed set way that you have to teach, that they tell you. You have to be this type of teacher. A lot of people that I work with teach in very different ways, and they teach the ways that suit them.
My oldest brother taught English in South Korea for 2 years, and over there it was really strict, kids behind desks. I really don't think they enjoyed it a lot, and over here it's the complete opposite. The kids, the classes are smaller and you can play a lot of games, and I think in turn they just learn English a lot quicker.
Okay, the thing I like most about teaching at Iowa is they don't just give you a lesson plan with a structure that says you have to teach like that.
You bring your own things to the classroom, you think about your own way of teaching certain things, and that always, if you're enjoying it and you're teaching your own way and you're comfortable, then the class is always going to be more enjoyable for the students.
And so my most rewarding experience that I've had with the students, I have particular students that I teach. When I first started, She wouldn't listen to anything I said. She was very naughty, but over the course of my time here, I eventually got to know her. She got to know me. You know, we kind of figured out what each other's interests were. Eventually turned into something that I look forward to every Sunday.
So if you have been teaching kids for a few classes on end and you're struggling for them to understand what you want them to do, and then just all of a sudden at one point they just get what you've been trying to teach them for all those classes, that is probably the most rewarding thing for me about teaching English.
When I first came to Iowa, I had a young student in my class who wouldn't really respond to me at all in the beginning. She didn't really want to participate in any of the games. She wouldn't speak or repeat any of the words I was trying to teach her. And this is kind of disheartening at first, but I kept trying to involve her in the class and kept being persistent with her and just keeping her involved in the class as much as I possibly could, even though she didn't want to respond. But now she enjoys the games with us, she's speaking a lot more than she used to, and it's a really great feeling as a teacher to know that being persistent does have its reward in the end.